Okay, so I said I'd make a video explaining how to do the arranging chapter. So I'm going to go over page 5 of your purple pack. So what we're really doing is we are taking this vocal score or this short score here, and we're putting it into open score for vocal score with C clefs. So the first thing I want to do is go over to my reference charts, and I want to find open score for vocal score with C clefs. So it's this one. Oops, this one. Okay, so now I'm going to put the soprano, alto, and tenor bass into my form here. So I go soprano, alto, tenor, bass. I then go back over and I match the clef signs, and that's what I'm going to copy in. So I do the treble clef, I do the alto clef, and the important thing is that your indent is on the third line, okay, or close to it. I made a mess, so I'll try to fix it. Not the easiest thing doing it electronically, but I'm trying. So third line in, maybe I'll just do it a little differently like that, okay? And then my tenor clef, my indent's going to be on my fourth line. I'll do it this way, like that. And then I have my bass clef. So we've copied that in. Next thing I'm going to do is my key signatures. So I'm going to copy this key signature for my soprano line. So my soprano line is going to be all the notes that are stems up. Okay, now I know this whole note does not have a stem up, but it is on the top, so that's going to be for my soprano notes. So I'm going to copy my key signature for the soprano. It's going to be exactly the same, and I'm going to put the time signature as well. Okay, now this is going to be my alto line here. So I also need one sharp, but holy cow, we've got an alto clef. So I need to know what to put in there. So I'm going to go back to my reference, and there's a page in your reference pack, your pink reference pack, that has this information on it. So I'm going to copy from the alto clef the first sharp. So it's going to be this guy, whoops, this guy right here. Okay, so I copy him in the same space. Then I put my time signature. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing. I need one sharp for the tenor clef, so I'm going to copy this, put a time signature, and then my bass clef is going to stay the same. All right, now as I mentioned before, before I made all this mess, the soprano part is going to be the top line. Okay, so all those top notes. So I'm going to copy that exactly for my soprano part. The only difference is going to be how I'm going to put my stems. I'm going to follow actual stem rules. So the first two notes, they can have stems up or stems down. The next two notes must have stems down because it's above the third line. Same with this one, must have stems down because it's above the third line. This one can be either way. The C's must have stems down, as the B's can go either way. And then my last note will be an A, and I put the fermata over the top. Okay? Now I'm going to go on and do the alto. So the alto clef is going to be more challenging. So this note here, all the notes stems down in the treble clef are going to be the alto singing it. So this is a D, and it's above middle C. Middle C is here, okay, so it's just the D that's above that. So now I need to put a D above middle C. So middle C is the center where the indent is. So I need to find out where a D is. So this is C, then D is the next space above it. Okay, it goes alphabetical. So my first D will be here, followed by my second D. Then I have an E, so C, D, oops, C, D, E. Then I have a G. That's a G there. So I go C on the center line. Oops. C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Okay, and I would continue doing my stems down. Then for the alto clef, they're going to be all the stems up. Okay, so that is a G. So all cows eat grass. I can label that. I can label all my top notes if that's helpful. Okay, just like so. You can write whatever you want, as much stuff in as you need to. Okay, and that would be helpful for the other clefs. So now I need to find a G. So again, the indent is middle C. So this G up here is below middle C, because remember, this is where middle C is. So I've got to do a G that's below middle C. So if this is C, before C, B, A, G. So this is a G. I always like to check it because going backwards can be sketchy for me. So I'll just check it. So G, A, B, C. Yeah, that works out. So there's where my first note is. So I have up here 4 G's. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to copy those G's. 2, 3, 4. And then I continue on doing it. Now to do the bass clef one, it's much easier for you because you're going to be doing all the stems down notes, and they're going to just be in bass clef, so you're copying them exactly. And so on. Okay, so then I go on to my next page for 1,000 tongues. Now this one we are doing modern vocal score. So I go back over to my reference here, and I find the modern vocal score is this one. Okay, so I'm looking at my clef signs here. Ooh, this is fun. Look at the marker. Ooh, exciting. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to need a treble clef. The alto gets a treble clef. And the tenor clef, or the tenors, are going to have a special clef that has an 8 below it, and I'll explain what that is. And then the basses will have a bass clef. Okay, and I'll put my S, A, T, B right in there. Okay, so now I'm going to do my clefs, my key signatures. So these ones are going to just be copied exactly because they're treble clef. And so will the bass clef. Okay, so I feel like this one's going to be a little easier for the most part, except for the tenor part, and I'm going to explain that. So I'm going to put all of my stems up in the soprano. So the sopranos get the stems up. The altos get the stem down. The tenors get the stems up in the bass clef. And the basses get this part. So you would be copying the basses look like this. Okay. The altos would, soprano, would look like this. And the altos would look like this to start. Okay. So the tenor part, I'm just going to do the labeling. So it's a B, B, B. Okay. Now, what this little 8 means here is that we're going to write it an octave higher than it's supposed to be. An octave meaning 8 notes higher. So instead of writing it that B way down here, it's easier to put this 8 and write it on the music staff. So that's all we're doing, is we're writing it an octave higher. So that's what that 8 means. So now my B's will all be here. Okay, hopefully that gives you enough to go on. If not, I can explain more, and I will explain more in class. This is just meant as a little review.